Hello and welcome to episode 53 of the Dynamo Football Book Club. My name's Al Bond and I'm joined by my co-host Johnny Coughlin, a man as noble and as upstanding as Johnny Giles. Johnny, how are you?
I'm very good. Happy New Year. And I love the Giles comparison. More on him and on. What more are we doing?
Well, we're doing our first fictional book, Johnny, literary fiction. It's The Damned United by David Peace, the story of Brian Clough's 44 days at Leeds United.
I don't see there's a battle at all. I resigned and they've accepted it. Pete and I are now officially finished with the Derby County Football Club. Can you tell us why you resigned?
Brian, can you just ask?
That is the last question. Thank you very much indeed.
We're back from a 3-week hiatus, folks. Thank you for sticking with us. This was caused by a rift between myself and Johnny over a misunderstanding about the Immaculate Conception, which came to light in our last episode. Me, I was the bigger man. I've converted to Catholicism in order to continue the podcast. So let's crack on. Let's leave Bethlehem 2,000 years ago and let's travel to a fucking grim, cold, miserable Yorkshire in the 1970s. Oh, blimey. Hey, this book, Johnny,
I assume you'd seen the film before. Had you read the book before?
I think it's astonishing, but no, I hadn't read the book before. I'm genuinely astonished that I'd never read this book before. I mean, this book, which is described from numerous sources as the greatest novel about football ever written. No, I had never read it before. Had you? Had you? No. But had you seen the movie before?
I'd seen the film, yeah, and I can't say, I remember certain parts of it, but I watched it again and it's a hell of a lot of fun, isn't it?
Well, we'll get to that then, I guess, won't we? Oh, yeah,
Oh,
we
look at
will.
this. The great defender of Frank Clough. Maybe it's the great defender of Don Revy. By the way, is it Don Revy or Don Revy?
I, yeah, whatever takes your fancy, innit? I think he says Revy. Does he say Revy?
Well, the the audiobook he says Reevy, but I think it's Revy. By the way, the audiobook is read by, I think his name is it John Sims? He's an actor in like Life on Mars. You know that show?
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. Like weedy looking nerd bloke. Yes.
But he's also in a band, that guy who like he plays one of the members of Echo and the Bunnymen is in his band. Something Sims, maybe not John. But anyway, he does a full Clough thing in the audiobook. It's quite fun.
Oh, he does the accent.
Yeah, and then when he's Dave McKay and that kind of thing.
Oh. Yeah, so okay, I mean we're gonna talk about this. So obviously I read the book, Johnny listened to it. I wonder what if we had different experiences. So the book is okay, just a bit of so it's set during Clough's 44 days in charge of Leeds. You also have flashbacks to his times in front of Derby, and it kind of meets up in the middle, right? Uh,
Well, the focus, I suppose, is the Leeds thing, but the actual amount of the book that's split between Derby and Leeds is it's roughly equal, isn't it? And I suppose ultimately what he's doing is this kind of counterpoint because Clough's approach to both situations is the same, but the reaction, I mean, his approach to managing both teams is the same, but the reaction, particularly of the players, is quite different.
yes, very different, but I've got to say, Johnny, if you were reading the book, no, yeah, if you're reading the book, you would understand. Yes, if you are Brian Clough in the book, I do understand Leeds United players' reaction to him because, I mean, in this book, Brian Clough, you can also read Colonel Kurtz, Patrick Bateman. He's pretty much a psychopath in this. He's certainly
Yeah.
described as schizophrenic. This is a story of blood, piss, and fucking sweat, isn't it? Like it's grim. It's
Y-
grim, Johnny. Sorry, just get this happening. Like because we have this hiatus in the recording, I read this book about over a month, and I like to have finished the book just before we listen to before we record the podcast. So I've read some books in between reading these books, and I've read books about murder and stuff. And I was like, oh God, got to get back to the Clough book. The Clough book. Oh, Jesus. I've just to read about a man being his head being hacked off, but that is light relief in comparison with the damned United.
Well,
Every single person in this book is a cunt, Johnny. Every single person, with maybe the exception of Brian's wife and Mike Bamber, the chairman of Brighton. Everyone else is a scumbag. Everyone, maybe not Sniffer Clark. Bloody hell.
but I absolutely agree with you because it's not a long audiobook. It's like 4.5 hours. And I had listened to the first half of it before Christmas, and I just stopped listening to it because it's not a Christmas book. And I was enjoying it, but it's heavy going because he is. If there are people who are like him in reality, it, to be that relentlessly driven and as much of a scumbag must be fucking exhausting because it was hard being in his head. But maybe there's two things maybe I wanted to, maybe we can talk about first. First of all, we should avoid a situation where saying this happened and this didn't happen because that's not really that interesting. And which brings me to the main point. So David Peace has said this is a work of fiction. Like it's a story about real life characters. But he has said repeatedly that, this is not what happened. And he was sued successfully by Johnny Giles, who felt that his portrayal of him was, even though it was known to be fictionalized, reflected badly on him and was defamation. And apparently this is quite a landmark thing in fiction. Anyway, but the point I'm making here is that you could see how, and maybe we've all done this. You could see how someone would sit down and particularly watch the film and think, well, yeah, that's obviously the story and exactly exactly how things happen. Because we're saying, well, I know this is fiction, but really on some subliminal level, we're saying, yeah, that's how Brian Clough is, and that's exactly what happened. Because I think we're probably too stupid to maintain those two separate things. And then I've got a question for you. To what extent, look at Reevy, and Clough and how they're remembered in different ways. Obviously, Reevy had this stuff with England. He had this stuff with the United Arab Emirates. And he died reasonably young. He died of motor neuron disease. But the way they're remembered is very different. So while this is a fictionalized account of what happened, to what extent do you think this book is responsible for how they're both remembered?
Okay. I mean, I've got a lot to say about this. Right. First of all, you talk about David Peace, the writer, saying, yes, it is fiction. But he also goes on to say, but his fiction speaks more truth than non-fiction. So he's getting himself all tied up in all sorts of
Well, so I think we looked at the same thing as that thing, the South Bank show, right? It's about this book.
Yes.
And he said, people ask me, why didn't I just write the non-fiction version? And it's a reasonable question. And to which the obvious answer is, because I write fiction. But that's not the answer he gave. He said, there's really no such thing as non-fiction. And as you say, Al, my fiction that's more truth. My made-up version of events is truer.
We could really get bogged down in this, Johnny, couldn't we? Because this is, I sort of agree with him. He says, whenever you write a biography of someone, you have to pick out salient points in their lives, and those are more important. And in doing so, you thus make it fiction because you're focusing on these pivotal moments, and most of your life is not that. So, in a way, he's right, but in another way, you know what I mean? Is Brian Clough genuinely ringing up Don Revie at 2:30 in the morning, so like nearly in tears, saying you should leave the team out? Because if he's not, I'm not sure you should be writing that he is, because it makes him look like a fucking weirdo. Which is what the Clough family would probably argue, right? It's
The Clough family put out a statement saying that this is not a fair reflection of Brian,
It's all other accounts, right? Anyone else who knows him said, no, this isn't really like Brian, because this Brian Clough is a gloomy motherfucker. I mean, he is. He's a sad man. He's a frightened man.
He's an evil man. He's an evil.
Yeah, it's right. Just another couple of notes about the book. So it's written in a stream of consciousness, right? Have you ever read Wolf Hall, Johnny?
I have
Book
tried
about it.
twice and failed twice.
Well, I think that tells you everything you need to know, listeners. But for me, I would say Wolf Hall is the pinnacle of this century's achievement in the arts. I think it is the finest thing I've ever read. Written this century, anyway. It's magnificent.
Oh, okay. Well, it looks like third time lucky for me then on Wolf Hall.
Oh, it's good. It really, you do have to get into it. But yeah, when you do get there, he is Cromwell. But again, we don't want to get so good at this. But it is very much like that. It is like Clough's autobiography and Wolf Hall fucked and had a baby, and that baby was a mean, snide little book. It's yeah, so it's written in a stream of consciousness, and it's written in present continuous. So it's a present account. It's very immediate. It's not in a narrative sense. It's not like he said he did. When he's in when he's in Derby, he's going, you go here, you go there. It's from Clough's perspective. So it gives it a real different feel, and it must be enormously difficult to write in that sense.
It
It is an achievement. It isn't a literary achievement without wanting to sound too wanky.
it is very urgent or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it gives it immediacy. I think that's what they actually call it. I've got it written down. I wrote down the terminology. Obviously, I can't find it, but yeah, the writing gives it immediacy. It's in a first person and it's in a present tense. It's not in a narrative tense. So it is a very, very unusual book for that reason alone.
But that urgency is what I found difficult, and that's why I kind of took a break from it. It just moves along. It's not that it just moves along in an incredible clip, but it's just a relentlessness of him, the character of Clough, and how this gnawing insecurity and yeah, kind of Machiavellian evil that shines through. It's it's exhausting. It would be exhausting to live in a head like that, you know.
Yeah. And to achieve this, the writer piece has just read every single possible book on the subject, right? I mean, his research is exhaustive. He's read like all the Leeds autobiographies, all the Forrest Clough biographies. He has read everything. And that made me think, Johnny, we could write a book like this too. And who would we write it about, Johnny? Do you know? Who would be our Brian Clough?
Steve McMahon.
No, it would be Bruce Rioch. It would be Bruce Rioch would be the guy. He's like, here I am looking out of the bastards. Look at that Ian Wright. You'll never be a John McGinley Wright. Looking there. I've read enough, I think, but I could write the Brucey Rioch equivalent of like Rioch, dude, 9 months in charge of Arsenal.
We've only read about a quarter of the Arsenal canon. Just they never stop reading books. We haven't read Merson. We haven't read Henri. We haven't read Bergkamp. We haven't read Seaman. I'm sure he's got
Adams either.
Yeah, so it's God, I couldn't bring Bruce Rioch book.
I want
We'd have
it.
to get on that topic, Al. What would the Ruben Amorim have news today as we record? What would the Ruben Amorim damned United look like?
Oh God! What actor would be playing Bruno Fernandes in this?
It'd be that Remy Malek.
And I would refuse to watch the movie for that reason alone. Well, that would be a sad tale, wouldn't it? I mean, there's a man who's lost his confidence, right? There he was. Apparently, you know, when he was a player, he was like the biggest, like, class clown, the biggest joker. You wouldn't know it now, would you? A little broken man. He's going to limp back off to Portugal.
Yeah, like in that particular, what are they going to do now? I have a feeling what all those fellas, Jason Wilcox and Omar Bereda and those fellows, they'll do two things. Jim Radcliffe is now going to fire all of the staff from the Manchester United megastore to really flex his muscles. And then they're going to go on ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT who they should appoint next, because those guys don't have a fucking clue what they're doing.
But it's going to be Oliver Glasner as all intense, like.
Maresco, I was thinking Maresco the moment I saw it, no?
Maresca?
Yeah, Maresca, sorry.
Well, he's available, isn't he? He's available.
Yeah, I was thinking, is that why they fired him? Is that why they fired him? That's kind of how these guys think. Should we ask him first? Nah.
I'll tell you what, mate. If you want trophies, there's only one name. Ange Postecoglou. Get him in, lads. Get him in. That's what Man U should do. Just go full fucking clown car, like, go on. Get him in some big fucking clown shoes with like a fucking wheel spur, pinwheel on his hat, like. It's Rose, which is shooting war. Anyway, again, we got to get back on topic, Johnny. Okie dokie.
But in terms of how you want to talk about this book, do you want to actually go through the what happened? How's the best way to deal with this?
No, I just think we should talk around the book. If you want to know what happened, listen to our numerous books about Brian, numerous podcasts about Brian Clough and his staff. Yeah, you've got a couple of opportunities to catch up on this. You certainly got two. We've done Clough's autobiography and we've done Peter Taylor's. So if you want to know what happened, these resources are available. I think I'd rather talk about the book and the movie, frankly, and the hilarious comparisons between the two. Like, it's. I couldn't believe what I was watching after having read that book.
Wait, go on, tell me, wait.
Well, I wrote down, and this, like, the wife watched the movie with me last night. I was like, the book is like Bret Easton Ellis's American Psycho, and they're like, let's make a movie about that. And they like ended up making So I Married an Axe Murderer with Mike Myers. I realised these are particularly contemporary comparisons. It's just like, oh, I mean, I finished that book yesterday. I was like, oh God. Oh, at least you know it turns out all right, though. I mean, that's the happy thing. Like, it's going to be all right for Clough. Not that he deserves it in the book; he deserves to be put in prison. But from basically a sympathiser's perspective, it's like, well, it's going to work out for Clough. But yeah, and then I watched the movie like with no breath, and I was like, this isn't my line, but it's Carry On Cloughy. I mean, the music, the soundtrack to the movie. Oh God, what are you doing? Like, this is a funny moment. Look, Brian's being Brian. Here's a sad moment. I just, by numbers. Yeah, and I had to look up the writer. The writer who is a famous movie writer. I can't remember what he wrote for. All sorts of wanky British movies that are all like that. Just to see if he was a Man United fan or a Sheffield United fan. Because fucking hell, he hates Don Revie, eh? Oh, man. What did Revie do to these people?
Yeah, well,
so it's not in the book, right? That's not the book. They don't hate him in the book. Clough hates him in the book. But in the movie hates Revie. Give it a day, like.
Yeah, that's true. I guess Clough is the anti-hero, right? But it's all about him. And Revie is
the ANTI, right? I mean, bloody hell. Yeah, go on, sorry.
And Revie is his nemesis, the person that everything about Clough is about Revie and him trying to better and defeat Revie, because Revie snubbed him once when Leeds came to play against Derby at the start of Clough's managerial career there. So he's obsessed with Revie. They're both from Middlesbrough. Revie's from a couple of streets over. Probably bought shops in the factory that my father worked in. He says in the film. I don't remember that in the book. Yeah, so he's this huge character, but in a way, in the movie, he's quite wooden and doesn't deserve that focus. You know what I mean? He's not a worthy nemesis in a way.
No, not at all. It's just, if anything, the movie makes him quite sympathetic. He sort of tries to deflect his attacks, but in the book, he is just this character. He's Clough's white whale, all right, and he's Ahab. He's out searching for him, but yeah, it's weird. But in the movie, he is just a very bland character that the movie absolutely despises because it's so in love with Clough, which is just the antithesis of what the book is.
And so I take it then you didn't like the film?
I said 5.5 out of 10 after I watched the movie. Yeah, well, right from the get-go, everyone was like, isn't Martin Sheen brilliant? I thought I'd do a better Clough.
Mark Crossley does a better Clough.
Mark Crossley definitely does do a better Clough. Like, I don't think Clough was that good at all. Maybe
that would have been
too subtle, but I really want those whining sounds. And he didn't give it to me. I didn't think he sounded like Clough at all. I just thought, oh, who should we get to play Peter Timothy Spall? Oh, well done, British Film Institute, whoever fucking cast this shit. Of course you do. Who's a fat, ugly bloke? There you go, Tim
But
Spall.
like Peter Taylor was not a fat ugly bloke. He's a totally fine looking man. Steve has been turning in his grave at that choice.
Oh, and the end of the movie is the worst end to any movie ever made. Oh, Jesus Christ. Brian Clough was on his knees in a driveway in Brighton. What is going on? Oh, God. Oh, God. That's it. There it is. There it ends. Also, the Leeds United footballers in that movie. What a fucking joke. My wife was like, and she knows, as we've established on this pod, less than nothing about football. Like, less than nothing. But they're not football. Look, that's not that. Look, that's Al Capone. So, yep, that's Al Capone with a fucking ridiculous wig on, giving it, okay, I'm Scottish. I'm like, oh, mate, it was terrible. But Johnny Giles came, I've never seen anyone look less like a footballer in my life. He should be in black books. Like, so bad. Oh, well, I thought it was, yeah, what? Yeah, I really thought it was pretty sucky.
Well,
the wife said that Martin Sheen was good. So, good for him.
Well,
Martin Sheen.
I suppose an actor would say he was trying to be him rather than sound like him, maybe, you know? He's trying to capture his essence and all that stuff. He wasn't trying to just do an impression like Roy Bremner or something.
Here's a question. Do you think that any of the actors in that movie read the book before they did the movie?
Maybe not.
Because I think if I was like the director of the movie that was written as the movie, I would say, nah, don't read it. Don't read it, because we don't want you. You'll be like, look at this, diddly, carry on, Clough. And then there's like Clough standing in a pool of piss and blood. Like, it's like, where's this scene in the movie? Yeah, we cut that bit out. We cut it out.
But I did like the film, and I guess there is a feel good factor, which is totally and utterly absent from the book. But like, I like that film. I've seen it before and I enjoyed it. I was happy to watch it again, and I watched it with my wife as well, and she enjoyed it too. And she's very much pro Clough, anti Revy. Even though what I
watch that movie, not be that way, because the movie said it's Richard Nixon. Look, Don Revy's Richard Nixon. It's Richard Nixon. Look at him, a fucker. Look at that cunt. Oh, mate, at the end of the movie, it cuts to like the screens of the real life people, and the best bit of any of these biopics is when they do like what went on to happen. Is like, Revy failed as England manager and chased money in like the Middle East. But then, yeah, he was involved in financial irregularities, the dirty bastard. This is a film about Brian Clough. If you like pointing your finger at Don Revy and his financial irregularities, that's absolutely outrageous. It's like, he was also a known associate of Jimmy Savile. It's like, what? It's just... Fucking hellfire, they hate Don Revy in that movie. Not that I've got any love for Don Revy, and obviously I'm pro Clough, but they did him dirty. They did him dirty. I can't believe like the Revy family weren't watching that going, where's our substantial fucking damages?
You know what you said about the players and the shape of them? There's every now and again they would weave in footage from the news, contemporaneous news or whatever, and they had the footage from that Charity Shield when Leeds and Liverpool played. It was Shankly's last game at Wembley, and Keegan gets into the scrap with both Bremner and Giles, and he gets sent off, and he takes off his top. Because I'd said to Jenny, I was like, look at the state of these lads. And she says, well, it's the 70s, They probably didn't look all that good, They would have been drinking and eating or whatever. And then Keegan takes off his top. He's absolutely ripped them. Look, Jenny, look, that's what a footballer looked like in the 70s.
I've also got a comment about Keegan removing his shirt, because that was a bit my wife paid the most attention. She's like, hell, who's that guy? So sexy. And I was like, fucking right he is. Fucking right, darling. If he's ever around here, you can have a go on him. Kevin Keegan, I'd be honoured. Even a 75-year-old Keegan, I would be honoured. Yeah,
your impression of Heather makes you sound like a character from South Park, by the way.
If a cap fits.
Sorry. Yeah, there was John O'Hare. Is that the fullback, John O'Hare, the Scottish lad? At one point, he'd been torn apart by Leeds in a previous game, and then they're sitting in the changing rooms in the film, and he's like, he's rocking back and forth, absolutely petrified. It's like there's no footballer in the world who looks that nervous before a match, because they would be hiding it from their teammates, because they'd be like,
Well,
"Get the fuck off the team, get the fuck out of here altogether!" Like,
John O'Hare and stuff, they look like they were like bassists in the band Cast or something. Like, it's just like, that is not a. Come on. Just get a lower. They didn't have really any lines. Just come on, just get a professional footballer with a 70s haircut. I just couldn't believe that they were trying to pass these people off as professional athletes. It's just.
yeah, like could they not just, as you said, a lot of them were just bouncing around in the background. Could they not just go to the gym and pick like pick 8 lads out of a gym? Here, look, come on, we're filming down the road. Will you come? And that was absolutely ridiculous. And also, the John Giles character is about 6'2", you know. But anyway, sorry, just to talk about some of the characters in the book. The Bremner character in the book is such a malignant little fucker, isn't he? You know? So
I mean, it is heartbreaking. That is, yeah, right at the start, Clough tries to befriend him, and he sits next to him, and he hacks onto him, and he doesn't want to talk. And then at the end, he goes, "If you're looking for a pal, Mr. Clough, it's not me." And it's just like,
yeah, count me out.
ouch.
Yeah, and he
Ouch,
says
yeah.
at one point, so Clough is persistent, right? And he goes back to, that was on a long journey, a long bus journey. And he sat beside Bremner because Bremner was captain. He was kind of the surrogate son of Revy. So I guess he felt if he was going to win over Bremner, he might get the rest of the dressing room. But then he kind of sits beside him again later, and Clough is trying to impress him, and then Bremner's not saying anything, and they're on their way to Wembley, and then at the end they pull up, or maybe it's not at the end, but anyway, at one point Bremner, who by the way is smoking throughout the entire journey, turns to him and says, "Have you ever played at Wembley, Mr. Clough?" Knowing that Clough had never played at Wembley, which was pretty nice. I like that.
Yeah, and that's it. And his response was in his head, "Cunt, cunt, cunt." The author loves to repeat 3 words, 3 gloomy words. He loves to do that. There's your literary fiction for you. Down, down, down.
My
out,
players, my
out,
my
out.
players.
Yeah, I'm really mixed as to if it is his brilliant writing or is it sometimes I think it's a mix. I think sometimes it is a little bit silly, but other times the writing is absolutely brilliant. I've got a couple.
For all of the things we said about the book, I did enjoy it. I found it kind of wearing at times, but I thought it was really enjoyable. But I didn't love that, and it became predictable. I thought the chapters are really short. It moves along really fast, and in any given moment, he's pissed off with a chairman here, a chairman there, and like you say, he'll be like cunt, 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 or he'll say his players, talking about the Leeds players and Don Revy, his players, his players, his players. And that became quite predictable, I thought, and therefore it was kind of not very interesting.
But other times the writing is good. Yeah, when he talks about Revy's players, he's looking at them for the first time. All his sons, all his bastard sons, their daddy dead, their daddy gone. I mean, yeah, whoa, yeah, he's gone, old Revy. He's gone to the great United Arab Emirates in the sky. Yeah. Spotting the talent, buying the talent, and handling the fucking talent, insulting the talent, humiliating the talent, threatening that talent, hurting the talent, and then kissing it fucking better again. It's like, I did like that. Yeah, so I really don't know. I've been on a journey with this book. There's times I fucking hated it, and sometimes I thought it was really great, and I still don't know if I like it or not, Johnny. I don't know if I like it.
It was very black in terms of, because it's very funny without there being any jokes. You know what I mean?
There's no jokes. There's no jokes.
And there's things that don't make it into the film. You know, there's a lot more kind of ancillary characters, various boardroom characters. So one of the lines that Giles has in the film is, Clough says to Giles, "Whatever, I'm not accountable to you." And Giles says, "Well, on Saturday there's going to be 40,000 people out there, and you are accountable to them." But that's just some random suit from Leeds in the book. So they kind of had to condense it, obviously, to make it shorter. But there's also significant things, like we'll say this in the film. Clough writes this resignation letter to the board of Derby. They're in this kind of power battle with Sam Longson, the chairman of Derby, the Clough and Taylor, that is. Clough writes a resignation letter while Taylor is on his hospital bed after a heart attack, and he signs both their names and gives it to Longson without Taylor knowing. But none of this happens in the book. That's not in the book. Taylor doesn't have the heart attack in the book. He did have a heart attack in real life, but that doesn't happen in the book. There's a fair bit of literary license, as David Pieces says. This is a work of fiction, but then there's more again in the book. They're not always faithful to the book itself. And as you say,
in the movie, the whole last 5 minutes of a movie is just total invention, right? It's like this Don Revie Clough like TV interview, and I'm not saying Brian Clough TV interviews didn't happen, but all the dialogue at the end, none of that happened. It was all bullshit. It was all bullshit.
But wait, you've watched that interview, the Clough Revie interview.
Is all that stuff in there? The stuff at the end of the movie?
That
everything that is said, that is all verbatim.
That if you want to watch something about Clough, that is the best thing to watch. That happened. They went on. It was like whatever, a couple of days or the day over or the day after Clough was sacked. He was invited onto whatever Yorkshire television, and he shows up, and Revie is there, and they sit down. It's fucking amazing. That you can watch it on YouTube. It's like 26 minutes long.
And everything that was said at the end of that movie, that dialogue is what was said in that interview. Well, in which case, that's astonishing. I mean, I guess I've only seen the highlights of those interviews. Then I was saying to my wife, "This is all bollocks. That's bollocks. That's bollocks."
Like you listen to, I know you listen to Second Captains. They got half of that interview is weaved into the audio beds that Second Captains have. You know.
I mean, I certainly am familiar with that. Yes.
I want to win it, and I want to win it better. That kind of stuff. That's from that interview, and it's like, it's brilliant. That is a whole, and that South Bank show, they did an hour-long thing on this book, and they've got Parkinson and Dunphy and Duncan Hamilton, who wrote that
Provided You Don't Kiss Me, right?
Provided You Don't Kiss Me, yeah. And he was kind of embedded with Clough for years at Forest. They're all interviewed in that South Bank. I think they're the talking heads, and they come in and out. It's only an hour long, and you can watch that on YouTube as well. And it's from 2023. That's really, really good as well. And David Peace is in that too, and he's reading excerpts from the book. And he says in that South Bank thing that he was living in Japan when he wrote this, and he only listened to music, watched television shows and movies from 1974. He said being in Japan meant that he could kind of, because he was surrounded by the Japanese language, he was totally immersed in his English speaking head. Everything was 1974. It's kind of fun, isn't it?
No, I thought that was fascinating, eh? And that way he could just channel the 70s. He didn't even get contemporary speech or sayings in his head. Yeah, that was very, very interesting.
He's a Huddersfield fan.
Well, that's it. You were talking about the talking heads, Parkinson, Dunphy, and the other fella. They all disputed it, right? They all knew Clough, and they all disputed Peace's account of Clough. He was many more shades than yeah, I mean, Parkinson describes David Peace as an excellent writer, but a very, very pessimistic man. Yeah. And I would say that's fair to say. I thought it was also funny because I only researched this morning, and I was like, what else has David Peace written? Oh, 4 books about the Yorkshire Ripper. Yeah, that tracks. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. Similar tone, maybe even more of a laugh than the... Oh, I don't know if I could face those books, Johnny. I don't know if I could face them. God damn, it'd be grim. It was grim enough about football without, like, murdered prostitutes. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that is a gloomy motherfucker.
It was interesting with Dunphy. Dunphy in Ireland is forever associated with Giles because they're Tweedledum and Tweedledee in a way on Irish television. And Dunphy takes a gin. He takes a gin against David Peace a bit, but not in a terrible way. But he said he didn't think it was a great book or whatever. And he says, I knew people who were there, and he's obviously talking about Giles. And as I said, Giles sued Peace. And actually, they talk in that South Bank thing. They talk about It's Only a Game, the Dunphy book, and Michael Parkinson, who I wouldn't have thought would have thought much about Eamon Dunphy. The interviewer says to him, well, Dunphy thinks it's all about class. And Parkinson says, well, yeah, Eamon thinks everything is all about class. Which was amazing to me. Like, that astounded me.
As soon as Dunphy popped up, I bet you were happy. But Dunphy was great, actually. He says, like, it was a caricature, but he also says, like, he believed that Leeds United was a boil on the face of a game.
Yeah.
I thought,
I wrote that down as well.
was well, I mean, like, and he was just saying, Clough just said it how people should have said it, like that they were bad champions, they were cheats and they were nasty. And it was brave of him to do that. Probably should never do that when you're going to manage that team. But nonetheless, I thought that was great. Also, Dunphy has his greatest scorn for just football journalists.
I know, and
Talentless word machines. Like, you're telling me, Eamon, you're telling me I do a podcast about football fucking autobiographies. Like, yeah, these talentless fucking hacks. Yeah, the South Bank show. I'm so glad you made me watch it because I would have been so outmanned if I hadn't have done. Yeah, it was brilliant, wasn't it? It really was brilliant.
yeah, it's fun. The other thing, Giles Sue's piece. However, I watched a bit of Giles talking about Clough, and he says this thing about he didn't have a meeting with the players at the start, and Revy calls them out on this in this interview on Yorkshire TV. But then Giles says the things that Clough said to them. Irishman, whatever, you're dirty, you go over the ball. Norman Hunter, everyone wants to be loved, even you want to be loved. And Giles says, Norman Hunter said, I don't give a fuck about being loved. But anyway, he says a lot of the stuff that Giles says there are kind of reflect that first training session. But what he did say was, take all of your medals and throw them in the bin, because as far as I'm concerned, you didn't win them, whatever. It wasn't just or whatever. But anyway, the point I kind of was trying to make earlier, I started making, was he went to Derby and he was the same abrasive character. They were at the bottom of the second division. He brought them up to the first division. They win the league. They get to the semi-final of the European Cup. He goes to Leeds with this little stay in Brighton in between, and he tries to do the same thing, but with a team that has just won the league. So all of the things that worked for him in Derby, and he comes along, he says this to them, they're like, well, who the fuck are you, man? Like, like we've won the league. Like, okay, fair enough, you might have done well at Derby, you've had an excellent career, but ultimately, what a lot of those players are thinking as well is like, well, we don't care if you scored 200 and however many goals for Middlesbrough,
Yeah, it's insane. It's like one thing taking over like Sheffield Wednesday now, bottom of the second division, and then going up to the Arsenal lad. Well, like the Man City lads and being like, you fucking useless twats.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
But
Come on.
Leeds did have a manager who brought them up from the second division and brought them to league title success. And do you know what the name of that man was, Al?
Revy/Revy.
Revy/Revy. Exactly, yeah. They were in the second division when he took over as well. And also, did you know that...
Oh, good for him, Johnny. Do you know how his career ended? Like, yeah, way down with like financial irregularities. Shame after having failed with the England team, a scumbag.
And do you know what happened to Derby after Brian Clough left?
Well, we finished second. Like,
they won the league.
They won
the league. Anyway, but just on the Forest point, because a lot of the players, well, at least some of the players, and some of them, John McGovern and is it John O'Hare, played for Derby, Leeds, and Forest.
Yeah.
But what the fuck were Derby thinking really at the end of the day? Because he wanted to create this dynasty. Like, seriously, why did they accept this resignation in real life? I mean, he must have been terrible, because he went on obviously to win the European Cup twice with Forest, but that's what he would have done with Derby.
I think he overplayed his hand, right? He just like, you can't bear to lose me, you can't bear to lose me. But he was just too much like hard work. He does sound an absolute terror, right? A terror. He'd go out of his way to humiliate the chairman, Sam Longson, right? Who in the movie is played by Jim Broadbent. So it's like, how could you be mean to him? Stop it. Stop it.
He's Bridget Jones's father.
Yeah, it's so out of order. Yeah, when he turned up, the wife was like, "Oh, they've got every fucker here, haven't they? Every British actor, they're all here."
Hugh Grant playing Johnny Giles.
Yeah, that was him overplaying his hand. I've sort of done that in jobs before. Like, oh yeah, all right, here's my resignation. We accept. All right,
Who's with me?
okay. But it was astonishing the reaction. I mean, we've covered this before, but the whole team are like, "Oh, we don't want to play. We don't want to play." It made him look silly, though, in all cases, right? In the film, in real life, and in the book. He looked silly. He overplayed his hand.
I guess he.
But why did they take the fucking Brighton job? I mean, I will never understand that. Like, it's like, you're out of work for like 2 weeks. It's like, oh, I've just won the league. Okay, I've handed in my resignation here. Any port in a storm? Surely that's not the case. There's a better job's going to come along with the fucking third division. That never made sense to me, no matter how financially well packaged it was.
And also, it's not like he was out of work. He was still on television, no? So, well, I definitely need a second job. I need the second job fast.
No, that's it. It's like he had one little sniff around at like the the international job of Iran. It's like, oh, this isn't for me. I guess it's Brighton then. It's Iran or Brighton. I've got no other options. You've just won the league, lad. You'll be all right. Just steady down, steady down. But I think he's got to be doing something, isn't he, old Clough? He has to have a focus, and
also,
his focus is revenge. But in real life, I think it was probably something he just
on this point, though, Giles says that that was Clough, though. He needed to dominate people. He needed to, and that's why he came in. That was the way he worked. He needed people to be. He needed everyone to know who was the boss, and obviously it just didn't work at Leeds because they were established. But it does, and that was what I felt when we read his book. And when we read the Clough book, I also read that "Provided You Don't Kiss Me," which is brilliant. By the way, it's a brilliant book. But
next week, folks, we do "Providing You Don't Kiss Me" by Dustin Hamilton
But,
about Brian Clough.
I did think that he was a bully, and I think your Fergusons of the world. I think they must be like that.
Well, it's telling, right? So he had success when he went to a second division team, could dominate them because, they could, you could say, "Here's my fucking medals, kids. Like, listen to me." And that would work. But if he'd go to the best team in the country, you can't do that, right? And I guess that's how it works. You can't dominate people like that. And those lads were scary, tough-looking men, weren't they? I mean, I would be very, very intimidated by that Leeds United team. Not in the film, no. Fucking
The local butcher, the ice cream man. I don't really have much else to say, and in a funny way, I could talk about it all day. But sorry, in the book also he burns Dunrevy's desk. That's not in the film. And that is absolutely psychotic. Where's the new manager? Oh, he's just out in the car park burning the desk of the previous manager.
yeah. Don Revy's secretary in the corner crying, writing out her resignation. Yeah.
By the way, actually on that I wrote it down. He says to the secretary, "Whose secretary are you, Duck?" Because he says, who owns the desk? Well, you do, Mr. Clough. Well, whose desk used to be? And then he says, who? But he calls her Duck. You use that expression. Is that?
Yes, I do.
Is that because you're trying to be Brian Clough, and specifically the Brian Clough portrayed in the Damned United film?
No, I think actually they got that inaccurate because it's very much a Nottingham thing, Duck. I guess it might be a Derby thing, but it's an East Midlands thing for sure. Everyone's a duck. You can be a bloke and be a duck. I think it's derived from Duke in the old days. I use it a lot in America. People love it. They absolutely love it. Hello, Duck. He called me a duck. I absolutely love it. Yeah, they do, Johnny. I fucking throw out them ducks left, right, and centre. Duck machine.
Okay.
One more thing. There's a line in the book. Whatever people say you are, that is what you're not. Do you think that is where the Arctic Monkeys got their album name from? Whatever people say I am, that's what I'm not.
Oh,
Wow. It is. I think it is.
Go on. No, that's interesting. Do you know the song Geraldine by Las Vegas?
No, but I know it.
It's a great song, but it's in the trailer for this film. And then if David Peace only listened to music from 1974. Why didn't by the way, I really do like that song, Geraldine, but why don't they have songs from 1974 in the trailer? Like you said, they have all that kind of Benny Hill style stuff. Why didn't they stick to the musical palette of the time?
I really was shocked how bad the soundtrack to the movie was. Also, there's a line in the movie, by the way, where he's like shouting at like one of the directors, and he's like, "You want to spend the money on prawn sandwiches?" It's like, fuck off, prawn sandwiches in the 70s, bollocks. Come on.
Roy Keane would be very upset.
Yeah, Roy Keane. As if it would have been a prawn cocktail in the 70s, wouldn't it? No one had prawn sandwiches.
But also that only became a thing when Keane said it, wasn't it?
Exactly. Exactly.
Anyway, okay.
Pointed that out to my wife. She didn't care.
Well, actually, Heather, you should know.
Just as a fun thing, I asked my wife if she had a comment on the movie that I could put in the pod, and she goes, it was too long. It should have been half an hour shorter. And I was like, it's only an hour and a half long. And she was like, no, they could have cut out a lot of the stuff here. And it's like, you talking about the same movie? She was talking about the new Leonardo DiCaprio movie. Lars was like, forget it. I'll throw that anecdote in. Like, so what do you think of the movie? Like, half an hour too long. That's what she thought.
It should be an hour.
That wasn't about this movie.
Yeah, okay. Well, Al, so what did you think of the book?
More than any book we've done, I'm still not sure what I thought of this book. I don't know. It's like between a 7 and an 8. It's like 3 3/4 stars for me. Like, that's how many. Well, what are we going to use? What's going to be our rating here? Like,
Burning desks, ducks.
7 burning desks. But it might very well be 9 burning desks, Johnny. But on another day, I might think it's 5 burning desks.
Yeah, well, we usually do out of 5, and I think it's a 3.5 book. Yeah.
All right, 3.5 burning desks, and it can waggle 1 star either way. It's worth a read for sure, isn't it? And it's certainly unlike anything that we've read on this before.
And the audio is really good. The guy is really good. The guy Sims. I don't think his name is John Sims, but his name is Sims. And it's short. If you want to feel really, really nervous on an edge while you're taking a flight somewhere, I can recommend this book.
Yeah, okay. What about the movie? How many stars do you give the movie?
See, I like the film because I like the whole era, the way people are dressed, the fact that it's about football and it's not shit. Yeah, I like the film a lot, actually.
I mean, crucially, it's not shit because there is 0 football in the movie, right? Absolutely 0 football in the movie. There's some training sessions, and that's it. You don't see anything else.
Well,
apart from actual old footage.
You see the Stephen Graham plays Billy Bremner. You see him dribbling a bit. You see Martin Sheen playing a good bit of football, like keep you up, because he was a good footballer. He was on Second Captains, interviewed, and he said that he was scouted by Tony Adams' father, and he says he was asked to go for a trial at Arsenal, and his dad didn't let him, which sounds a bit. Yeah, okay. Are you acting now?
You're going to be an actor, young man. You're going to be an actor. You need to focus on your acting. You haven't got time to be messing around with the football.
Yeah, he said his Welsh father in the 1970s. Yeah, I think, 7 out of 10 film, probably.
5 out of 10 for me for the movie. I just thought it was a little bit. It's just a certain brand of British movie, and I mean, like The Imitation Game or like The King's Speech. It's all just a little bit too twee and a little bit too nice.
It's got a full Monty vibe, all right.
Oh, it's got a full Monty there. That's a nice comparison. It's like, everything's going to be all right in the end, folks. It's going to be all right. You're leaving the cinema with a little smile on your face. You ain't leaving the end of that book with a fucking smile on your face. That's for sure. You're scowling at that book all the way through. Like, oh, fuck it hell. Clough humiliates a cleaner for no good reason. Like, oh, God, why?
Pisses in a room and smashes it up. Yeah, you can see why the Clough family put out that statement.
Atmospherically, it's brilliant. You can smell the piss. You can feel the cold. Like, you can see the blood. Like, it is Yeah, I think it is a good book. Maybe, you see, that's it. I don't know how I feel about this book. I feel good. I feel bad. I don't know.
Um,
7.
what are we doing next? Is it Gillespie?
Yeah, Gillespie's been found. We've had to put this one off a couple of times because my daughter opened the Keith Gillespie book and then hid it behind a princess book. So I was unaware that I've had it, and I've had it for weeks and weeks. So yeah, next time, How Not to Be a Football Millionaire by Keith Gillespie.
Yeah,
That's like me read a lot of these books. How Not to Do This. I think it's like 3 or 4.
yeah. And I have my own book, Losing Story. I brought home Once in a Lifetime, which is about the New York Cosmos, which we're doing after that. I brought it home to read at Christmas and left it in Ireland. Good story. Might
Well,
even-
get it posted out, bruv. I've got that on my Kindle, raring to go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Al.
We haven't got
Um,
one for next week's draft, have we?
No, we haven't talked about it, but we'll figure something out.
Yeah, it'll be great, whatever it is, folks. Make sure you tune into that.
All right, Al, a happy new year and happy new year to all of our listeners. If you'd like to give us a belated Christmas present, please give us a nice old rating and tell all your friends, all of them, about the Dynamo Football Book Club.
Thank you very much, listeners. Happy New Year to you all. Sorry about the hiatus, but we'll be back next week. God bless you all.
Yeah, take care. Thanks, Al.
Catholic, God bless.
Good evening. Tonight, the football world was stunned by the shock news that after only 7 weeks in the job, Brian Clough has been sacked as manager of Leeds United. It's been claimed that the footballers passed a vote of no confidence in him, and certainly today, the board took the shock decision that Clough must go. Tonight, on this live calendar special, we're talking not only to Brian Clough himself, but also to the man that he succeeded as manager of Britain's most successful football team, to Don Revie, the England manager. But Brian Clough, first of all. Brian, what's your reaction to being booted out in this fashion?
Oh, it's a very sad reaction. Obviously, to be sacked, as you profoundly put it, and the only way you could put it, is a very sad one. A very sad one for me personally, and I also believe a very sad one from Leeds Football Club's angle and from the Leeds City. Thank you very much indeed.